The stars above Veltrax burned cold and silent. From the bridge of the Imperial warship Talon, Commander William Carter stared out the wide viewport. Below, the planet hung in space like a dying ember. Dark clouds twisted in the atmosphere. Rebel strongholds were buried deep in the mountains, but they wouldn't last long. At least, that's what the Empire believed. Carter wasn't so sure. "All ships in position, Commander," said Lieutenant Dorn, standing at his side. "Orders from High Command. Begin orbital sweep, then launch full surface assault." Carter gave a short nod. "Proceed." He turned away from the window and walked toward the central console. Dozens of officers moved around him, checking data, issuing commands, tracking enemy signals. Everything appeared normal, and yet, something felt off. "Enemy activity?" he asked. "Minimal," replied Dorn. "Rebel ships are scattered. No sign of heavy defense systems. Just a few fighters near the southern ridge." Carter frowned. Too quiet. He had fought in 6 major campaigns across the Outer Rim. Rebellions were messy, chaotic, desperate. But this felt organized. Too clean. As if the rebels wanted the Empire to attack. A beep interrupted his thoughts. "Incoming transmission," said a comms officer. "Source, rebel vessel, requesting surrender." Everyone on the bridge paused. "Surrender," Carter said. "Put it through." The screen flickered. A shaky image appeared. An old rebel pilot, face bruised, voice weak. "This is Pilot Jekrel of the Helion Accord," the man said. "My ship is damaged. I surrender." Carter leaned in. "Why send a message? You could have just shut down your engines." Ral coughed. "Because you don't know what's coming." Silence filled the bridge. "What do you mean?" Carter asked. "They want you to think this is all there is," Ral said. "But it's not. This fight, it's just the surface. The real fleet." He stopped. The signal began to crackle. Then it went dead. "Connection lost," said the comms officer. The bridge remained still. Carter looked back out. The viewport. The planet hadn't changed, but now it seemed darker somehow, like it was hiding something. He turned to his crew. "Prepare for assault. But stay sharp. Something's not right." He didn't say it out loud, but the thought lingered in his mind. What if the real battle hasn't started yet? The fleet moved into position like a well-oiled machine. Dozens of Imperial warships surrounded Veltrax's orbit. Gunships, cruisers, and carrier vessels floated in perfect formation. From above, it looked like a net tightening around the planet. Commander William Carter stood on the bridge of the Talon, eyes focused on the tactical display. The rebel defenses on the surface were weak, too weak. Only a few anti-air batteries and scattered fighter squadrons showed any resistance. "Ground targets locked," reported Lieutenant Dorn. "Ready to begin bombardment on your command." Carter gave the order. "Initiate orbital sweep." The fleet opened fire. Blue beams and plasma bursts rained down from orbit, lighting up the dark side of Veltrax like a thunderstorm. Explosions bloomed across the mountains where rebel bases had been marked. Dust and smoke rose into the atmosphere. "Direct hits on all targets," said Dorn. "Minimal resistance." Carter nodded but said nothing. He walked back to the viewport and stared at the burning surface below. It was going too smoothly. He had expected some resistance, hidden turrets, cloaked ships, or maybe a counterattack. But there was nothing. "Still, no major fleet signatures?" he asked. "Nothing, Commander," replied a nearby officer. "Only a few small ships trying to escape. We're picking them off easily." Carter narrowed his eyes. He had studied the Helion Accord's tactics. They were clever and unpredictable. Kale Voss, their leader, wasn't the kind of man to sit back and watch his forces get crushed. He would fight smart. He would plan something bigger. "Commander," said Dorn suddenly, "one of our destroyers just went offline." Carter turned sharply. "Which one?" "The Griffin. No distress signal. No damage report. It just vanished." Carter moved quickly to the console. "Check its last known position." A red marker blinked on the screen. The Griffin had been scanning the far side of the planet, away from the main battle. "Send a scout drone to that location," Carter ordered. "And redirect 2 support ships." Quietly. "Yes, sir." More rebel ships began to rise from the surface, but they were light, outdated fighters. The Talon's defenses handled them easily. One by one they were blasted from the sky. The crew cheered as another rebel base was destroyed. But Carter didn't join in. He stared at the tactical map, his face tense. "This isn't right," he muttered. "Where's the fleet? Where's Voss?" He looked down at the burning world of Veltrax. The Empire was winning on paper, but it felt like a setup, a distraction. And that rebel pilot's warning echoed again in his head. "You don't know what's coming." Hours passed. The Empire continued its assault. Rebel bases were destroyed one after another. Fires spread across Veltrax's surface, and thick clouds of smoke rolled through the mountain valleys. From the outside, it looked like a total victory. But Commander William Carter didn't feel victorious. He stood over the main console, arms crossed, watching the live tactical feed. Enemy numbers were dropping fast. The few rebel fighters still in the sky were no match for the Empire's superior fleet. They moved like they were buying time, stalling. That worried him. Then the communications officer raised his voice. "Commander, we're receiving a direct transmission. Encrypted. High-level code." Carter turned. "From where?" "Unknown source. But it's coming through clean, audio only." "Play it," Carter said. There was a pause. Then a deep, calm voice filled the bridge. "Commander William Carter, I see the Empire sent one of its best." Carter stiffened. He knew that voice. "Cale Voss," he said aloud. Gasps filled the bridge. Officers stopped what they were doing. Even Dorn looked shaken. Voss continued. "You're smart enough to know this battle was too easy. Ask yourself, William, why would we place our bases in the open? Why would we fight with scraps? Why would I not be here?" Carter stepped closer to the console. "What do you want, Voss?" he asked. "To give you a warning," Voss said. "You're walking into a trap. This isn't the fight. It's just the stage." The audio crackled, then cleared again. "This fleet you see, it's nothing. A shadow. The real fleet hasn't entered the battlefield yet. But it will. When the Empire's proud ships are spread thin, tired and blind." Voss's voice grew colder. "You'll see it soon. And when you do, remember this. You were warned." The line went dead. Silence filled the room. "No trace?" Carter asked quickly. The comms officer shook his head. "Signal bounced off a dozen satellites. Untraceable." Dorn stepped forward, his voice tense. "Could it be a bluff?" Carter didn't answer right away. He looked down at the planet again. Fires burning, rebel ships falling, smoke rising. "No," he said finally. "Voss doesn't bluff." He turned to the console. "Status on the Griffin. Still no contact," said Dorn. "Scout drones are en route. Add 2 more," Carter ordered. "And run deep scans in surrounding sectors. I want eyes on every asteroid, every debris field, every shadow." "Yes, sir." Carter stared at the screen, eyes sharp, jaw tight. He didn't know where the real fleet was, but he knew one thing for sure. It was out there, waiting. The scout drones moved quickly through the void, silent and small, scanning every corner of space near Veltrax. Their cameras captured data, heat signatures and movement patterns. On board the Talon, Carter and his team watched the live feed closely. 2 hours passed. Then, one of the scouts found something. "Commander," said the sensor technician, "we've picked up a strange energy reading. Sector 14G. Inside the asteroid field." Carter walked to the console. The screen showed a cluster of jagged rocks, drifting in space. Nothing special at first glance, but beneath the dust and metal fragments, a soft heat signature pulsed, too steady to be natural. "Enhance the image," Carter ordered. The screen zoomed in. Hidden between 2 massive asteroids was a large object, partially cloaked, barely visible. The outline was unmistakable. A ship, and not just any ship. A rebel cruiser, More signals flickered into view. 1, 5, 10. Then over 50 separate energy sources. Dorn's voice was low. That's a fleet. Carter nodded. Their main fleet. The bridge fell silent. They've been hiding inside the field, Carter said. Waiting. Watching. He turned to the comms officer. Any sign they've detected our drones? Not yet. But if we get closer they might. Carter thought for a moment. Pull the drones back. I don't want them knowing we've seen them. The officer nodded and began the recall sequence. Dorn leaned in. We should alert High Command. Call for reinforcements. We will, Carter said. But not yet. He walked slowly back to the viewport, watching the stars beyond Veltrax. He knew Cal Voss was behind this. It was a trap. Perfectly planned. Let the Empire strike first, win easily, grow overconfident, then unleash the real attack. Carter had seen battles turn before. But this was something else. This was a chess match. And Voss was several moves ahead. Tell me about Voss, Dorn said. You knew him, right? Carter nodded. Years ago, he was a fleet admiral. One of the best. What changed? Carter's voice was quiet. He saw the truth about the Empire. He didn't like it. So he left. Dorn frowned. And now he wants to destroy everything we stand for. Maybe, Carter said. Or maybe he wants to build something better. He turned back to his crew. Either way, we can't face that fleet alone. We need a plan. The crew snapped to attention. Orders were given. Reports filed. Stealth patrols launched. Carter knew time was running out. The Empire thought the battle for Veltrax was over. But it hadn't even begun. The war room aboard the Talon was quiet, lit only by the glow of tactical maps and data streams. Commander Carter stood alone, staring at the hologram of the hidden rebel fleet tucked inside the asteroid field. His mind raced. He had a choice to make. If he followed orders, he would press the attack. But doing that meant leading his fleet straight into a trap. If he disobeyed, the Empire would see it as treason. The door slid open behind him. Lieutenant Dorn entered, holding a datapad. Latest scans confirm the fleet is still there. They haven't moved, Dorn reported. Orders from High Command just came through. They want full ground deployment within the hour. Carter sighed. They still think Veltrax is the real target. Dorn hesitated. Sir, are you going to tell them what we found? Carter didn't answer right away. He looked back at the hologram, then slowly shook his head. No, not yet. If we tell them, they'll rush in, and Voss will crush them. But if we do nothing— I didn't say we'd do nothing. Carter interrupted. We're going to buy time. He walked to the console and activated a secure comm channel. I need to speak to Voss. Dorn looked shocked. Sir, are you sure? Carter nodded. He reached out first. He wants to talk. Let's hear what he really wants. A moment later, the screen flickered to life. Kale Voss appeared, calm as ever. He wore a simple uniform, no medals or rank insignia. Just a man at war with an empire. William, Voss said. I was wondering when you'd call. You've hidden a fleet in the asteroid field. Carter said bluntly. Why not attack already? Because I'm not here to destroy for the sake of it. Voss replied. I want to make you think. Carter's eyes narrowed. You want me to doubt my orders? Voss nodded. I want you to question why you follow them. You've seen what the Empire does, how it lies, how it crushes entire planets. You're better than that. I swore an oath, Carter said. To what? Voss asked. To power. To silence. Or to something real. Carter didn't answer. Voss leaned forward. Join me, William. Help end this war the right way. Not with blood, but with change. The line went silent for a few seconds. Then Carter cut the transmission. Dorn stepped forward. You're not really thinking of— No, Carter said firmly. I won't join Voss, but I won't play into his hands either. He turned to the console. Send a coded message to High Command. Tell them Veltrax is secure. but request a delay in surface deployment. Say we need time to clean up scattered resistance. Understood. And prepare the fleet for possible retreat, Carter added. Dorn hesitated. Retreat? Carter met his eyes. If that fleet moves, we won't survive. Not here. Not without reinforcements. Dorn nodded. Understood, Commander. As the crew moved to carry out his orders, Carter stood alone again in the war room. He hadn't made peace with Voss, but something had changed. The doubt was still there, about the Empire, about the war, about what winning even meant. One thing was clear: the next move would decide everything. The alarms sounded before dawn. A sharp, shrill tone echoed across every deck of the Talon. Crew members rushed to stations. Lights turned red. Shields powered up. Commander Carter was already on the bridge when the first reports came in. Multiple energy spikes. Sector 14 just, shouted the sensor officer. They're moving. Carter stood still for a moment. Then he gave the order. Put it on screen. The main display lit up. The asteroid field, once silent, now boiled with motion. Dozens, no hundreds of rebel ships were rising from behind the rocks. Big ones. Cruisers, destroyers, carriers. Ships the Empire believed had been destroyed or never existed. The rebel fleet is real, said Dorn, his voice low with disbelief. Carter didn't blink. Time to impact. 15 minutes. They're on a direct path to our position. The bridge was filled with quiet tension. Open a secure channel to all Imperial vessels, Carter ordered. Code red. Full retreat. All ships jump to fallback coordinates. Bravo 7. Sir, Dorn asked, surprised. We can't fight them head-on, Carter said. We'll lose everything. The message went out. Across the fleet, engines flared as ships prepared to jump. But the rebel fleet was already in range. The first wave hit like a storm. Explosions burst across space. An Imperial frigate spun out of control, its engines on fire. A gunship took a direct hit and broke in two. Rebel fighters swarmed like insects, striking fast and hard. Shields holding at 60%, shouted an officer. But we're taking heavy fire. Carter remained calm. Maintain formation. Prioritize protecting the transports. Get the wounded out first. As chaos unfolded outside, Carter focused on one goal: survival. He couldn't win this fight, but he could save his people. A large explosion rocked the bridge. The ship shook. Lights flickered. Direct hit to port engine. A technician yelled. Carter grabbed the rail. Reroute power. Keep us stable. Then he looked at Dorn. Prepare the scuttle code. We're abandoning ship. Dorn stared at him. You're staying. Carter nodded. I'll hold the line. One by one, the Imperial ships began jumping to hyperspace. The Talon stayed behind, covering the retreat. It fired every last missile, every last cannon. Carter watched the screen as his fleet escaped. The Talon took hit after hit. Fires broke out across the decks. Systems failed. The hull cracked. Carter stood tall at the center of the burning bridge. When the final transport cleared the sector, he pressed the scuttle command. Good luck, he whispered. The Talon exploded in a blinding flash of light, taking down 3 rebel cruisers with it. A few hours later, what remained of the Imperial fleet regrouped at a hidden outpost. Most had made it out, thanks to Carter's sacrifice. Dorn stood in silence, staring out a viewport. He knew, he said quietly. He knew, he said quietly. He knew, we weren't ready. Behind him, the surviving officers began planning their next move. The war was no longer just about Veltrax. It was about the future of the galaxy. 2 weeks later, the galaxy was still reeling. News of the battle at Veltrax spread fast. Imperial Command claimed a strategic retreat and called Carter a hero. His sacrifice had allowed most of the fleet to escape. Official reports praised his loyalty, courage, and brilliance. But behind closed doors, the truth was different. Inside a high-level command chamber on the capital world of Arx Prime, top-ranking officials sat around a long table. Holograms of damaged ships, lost units, and intercepted rebel messages floated in the air. Admiral Kor, a cold-eyed officer, leaned forward. The Helion Accord has revealed their true strength. Their fleet is larger than we thought. more advanced, organized. One general added. Carter tried to warn us. He held back the enemy so we could escape. We ignored his request for backup. There was a moment of silence. Some faces were grim. Others were ashamed. Finally, the Emperor's voice came through a secure channel, calm, firm, and distant. Commander Carter died with honor. His loss is unfortunate. But we must not appear weak. We will rebuild. We will strike back. The screen went dark. Far away, in a hidden rebel base near the edge of known space, Cale Voss stood on a balcony overlooking a hangar full of ships and soldiers. His second-in-command approached. Veltrax was a success. The Empire knows we're serious now. Voss nodded. They'll respond, harder than ever. What about Carter? Voss looked out into the stars. He made a choice. He didn't join us, but he didn't serve their lie either. He bought time for his people. He saw the truth. He paused. And because of him, we've gained more than just a battle. We've gained hope. Back on Arx Prime, a small ceremony was held in a quiet hall. No press, no celebration. Lieutenant Dorn stood alone before a black monument etched with names. He reached out and placed a data chip into a hidden slot on the wall. It contained Carter's final recordings, personal logs, and thoughts never shared with command. I won't let them forget what really happened, Dorn whispered. He turned and walked away. The stars remained quiet, but tension stretched across the galaxy like a wire ready to snap. The Empire was shaken, not broken. The Helian Accord had risen, no longer just a rebellion, but a rival. And somewhere, in the minds of leaders on both sides, one name remained: William Carter. A soldier, a commander, and now, a symbol. The battle for Veltrax was over, but the war for the galaxy had just begun.